We are officially live, my brother. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us on the Twitch, and I did for tonight only run it on YouTube, just for everybody to know that if you want to catch these conversations live going forward, we are going to be doing our put the guns down, we outside conversation like we're going to be having with our family member who's been with us before, and my brother, the king, Monsta Yo, Ladaro Pennix the second. We're going to have a beautiful conversation today. So, ladies and gentlemen, going forward, that's where you can find us. But today, I'm still feeling a little cheerful from the holiday season. So, I'm letting it run on YouTube for tonight as well. All right. All right. But with that said, Happy New Year to everybody out there, whether you're catching us live or you're catching this when we drop it on YouTube next week. Welcome back to 2026. Welcome back to We Outside. And most importantly, for the conversation tonight, welcome back to Put the Guns Down, a world epidemic, which is a film and documentary brought to us by the brain of Terry C. Carney Sr., writer, creator, director, executive produced by Ice-T. There's a whole bunch of other people that are involved with this program. Some of them we have already had conversations with in 2025. So please go make sure that you go to our YouTube channel at We Outside Livecast, where you can catch all of our Put the Guns Down conversation, as well as the first conversation that my brother right here, Ladaro Pennix, Monsta Yo, had with us back in May. That was a beautiful conversation. And I know this is not going to be any different than that. Might even be a little deeper given the subject matter that we're going to be talking about today. OG Dooney, my brother and my co-host, is going to be joining us here in a little bit. But with that said, Monsta Yo, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar with him, this is an individual who has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He has created a suicide hotline, which is now partnered with the National 988 Suicide Hotline, because mental health awareness is an underlying issue of the Put the Guns Down as well. He is a rapper who has tracks with Snoop D-O-Double-G, Cocaine. I could probably sit here the whole show and list your accomplishments and the blessing that you, as the vessel that you are, has bestowed upon this world. And I'm sure we'll bring up some of them. And if not, ladies and gentlemen, again, go to the YouTube, because we talked about a lot of that back in May when we first had him on. But with that said, Monsta Yo, my brother, how are you? Happy New Year to you. How you feeling this evening, my brother?
First off, Happy New Year. That was an amazing introduction. And I'm very grateful to have you as a brother. I think one of my biggest flex is that I can call my brothers brothers and my friends friends. That's for me, that's my biggest flex. That's my biggest accomplishment, because again, the bonds that we create is something that's priceless, and it's noteworthy, and it's different from other individuals because it's really authentic. We've talked about personal issues. We've built together. We've grown together, and stuff like that is what it's all about. So that's my biggest flex. But for this new year, man, this new year it's been actually, it's low key been a challenge. But at the end of the day, it's my challenge, and I look forward to it. At the end of the day, when it comes to struggle, what makes you the beast and the warrior and the king that you are? It's the struggle itself. So when you come out of that struggle, you become even more stronger, more superior in your own resolve. And that's what it's all about. How do you know you can get through things unless you go through things? So I'm happy to go through things every day.
True story. True story. That was very, very well said, because and we were talking about it offline before we went live with everybody here. That is very, very true. And, this issue that we're going to be talking about tonight, this film, this documentary, Put the Guns Down, a world epidemic, is definitely one of those, right? Because it's the underlying issue of mental health awareness. It's the access to, I don't even want to just say the guns. It's the access to a lot of, let's just, for lack of a better word, garbage that is put out into the world, right? Whether it's through
Mhm.
social media, whether it's through programming, whether it's systematically designed, whether it's other people putting thoughts in your head. Because you said something very important there in the opening with respect to, it's my challenge and it's my path to walk, right? And I very much subscribe to that. You definitely know this, because somebody once told me, your path is already laid, just walk it. And
Absolutely.
and I think it's important for people to understand when we talk about put the guns down. Number one, we are not talking about being against guns, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's something that a lot of people, when they hear "put the guns down," a world epidemic, first and foremost, that's kind of their first thought. At least in some of the experiences and conversations I've had with people, it's been like, "Oh, you're getting well, no, we're not against guns. We're just about using guns in senseless acts of violence that can permanently delete somebody or permanently harm someone in a physical or mental manner as well, because it's not just about the deleting of human lives when it comes to gun violence, right? It's the collateral damage that comes with that, whether you're a victim or you're someone who victimized an individual through gun violence, or honestly, and any violence of really any kind as well. And I think that's a good segue to really just start the conversation today. So with that said, I certainly know my brother, but if you could let the listeners and the watchers out there know, how did you get involved with the Put the Guns Down, a world epidemic movement with our family? Shout out to our brothers, Terry C. Carney Sr., VP Churchill, of course, executive produced by Ice-T as well. What drew you to it, and how'd you get involved with the project as a whole?
Well, I gotta say that Terry C. Corney is a phenomenal individual, and he's a phenomenal big brother, and he teaches me a lot. He's the type of individual that will set us aside and really give you the correct knowledge. Not the trick knowledge, but the correct knowledge. And so him and I were introduced, and when we were introduced, we just never looked back. I look at him as my day one. A day one is an individual that's been consistent from the moment you guys have met. Y'all don't have to be tadpoles or sandboxes to be day ones. A day one is somebody that's consistent. And one thing about Terry, he has always been consistent with a good heart. When he's about his community, he's about really changing the narrative of what's going on in our societies that we both grew up in. And so for myself, once Terry and I we bonded, we never looked back, and we began to grow in the understanding that there's time for a change. There's time for us. There's time. It's time now for us to start healing our communities. Tupac said it best: we have to heal. You know what I'm saying? Because if we don't heal, we're gonna kill one another. And so the
Yep.
reality is that our kids, this next generation, deserves a chance. We didn't receive that chance. Some of us didn't receive that chance. And our lives ended up in either prison, where you see me at now, or dead. Why is that? Because we didn't have that mentor. We didn't have that opportunity, that outlet to see beyond our demographic. Some of us never left the street corner. We didn't know that there was a San Bernardino Mountains, and there was a Himalayas and a rainforest and a Serengeti. We didn't know that there was a beautiful place in Switzerland, in Ireland, in France, in Rome, where they had the Colosseum and everything else. We're not thinking that abroad. And so, because we didn't think like that, we only knew what we knew. We were products of our upbringing and our surroundings. And our surroundings told us that, you know what? We breed self hatred. It's a dog eat dog world. And by us embracing that, that's all we knew. That's
Hmm.
all we projected out to each other. You know, I want to go back to this Nipsey Hussle analogy that he broke down, and it was so powerful. He said that when street gangs go out on a hunt, if they see a kid walking down with a pocket protector and glasses on, they look at him as just another Poindexter nerd. They pass him right up. They keep going down the street. They see a man in a three-piece suit and a briefcase. They look at him as a businessman. They pass him right up. Then they go further down the street and they see somebody with the baggy clothes, the extras, everything. They pull over. They hit him up, and then it goes down. The reason why it goes down is because this individual reflects the same energy that they put out. This individual reflects the same self-hatred that they feel. So when they go out and look for somebody, they're looking to take themselves out, because it's a self-hatred, and they're trying to eradicate themselves. And I think that Nipsey Hussle broke that down so well. He goes further and further into it. But I love that analogy. The problem is this, is that we don't realize that, you know, through gun violence, we don't just hurt ourselves. Like you said, brother, there's a ripple effect. And in
Mhm.
that ripple effect, we don't just hurt our families. We don't just hurt them and their families. What about the child down the street who heard the gunshots, who is now afraid to come and play outside in the front yard? What about the business who now knows that there's a body down the street? And so, because they know that there's a body down the street, they know their customers don't want to walk down that street, which means they lose business.
Mhm.
What about the property where people usually move in and they need a place to stay because it might be affordable, but now they don't even want to move over there because it's known for some type of violence? There's a real ripple effect that happens, and we do not pay attention to this. It's more than just put the guns down. It's about ending hostilities. We're not looking for peace. We're looking to end hostilities. When you start to end hostilities, what happens is you start to consider the next individual. You start to consider your own self and your own family, because there's consequences to everything you do.
Yep.
Everything you put into the universe, you will get back. I don't care whether it's now or years from now.
It's
There's a
gonna keep.
ripple effect.
Yep.
I kid you not. And so if you put in your mind now, hey, let me just go ahead and end these hostilities. How do I end hostilities? Well, you know what? I start with me first. Because the greatest battle starts within. The greatest fight starts within. You see, we are our own worst enemy. We have these demons in our head, these voices, and they tell us, man, you think I'm a punk? Who do you think I am? Who's this? Who's that? All of a sudden, we're caught up in this thought of ego, you know, trying to
Mhm.
be somebody. And what happens? You find yourself repeatedly doing the same things that made you an error in your life. Now, all of a sudden, they got these big guns. They feel superior. And speaking of that, that's a whole nother subject in itself. But now everybody feels superior. Oh man, I'm on the street. I got this. I got this switch, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you are not just affecting someone else's life. You are affecting your life. You are affecting your family's life. Think about this. There's a lot of men in here that have kids who are in here for life with a life sentence. A lot of men. I guarantee if you talk to them today, they'll wish that they wish that they could take everything back just to be out there with their kid. As their kid gets older, as they get mature, as they start seeing the way of the land of this environment, they realize how BS this environment is. And then all of a sudden, there's a moment of clarity. I gave my life up for this? For this?
It really hits. It really hits. For
It
some
does.
people,
Hmm.
way later down the road. And at that point too,
Right.
because you basically said it, once you do some kind of act of really any kind, right? Especially when it includes any kind of gun violence, and we're speaking on gun violence and acting on certain things for certain reasons, you can't take that back. You
Hmm.
can't. And the way it makes individuals feel, or like it hit me honestly when we started up this put the guns down. It hit me in a way, well, two ways. I'll speak to an experience that I had, and it hit me from a standpoint of X-rated, right? X-rated. Anybody that knows X-rated well enough and his story, you know, knows enough to know that he was deeply remorseful for the scenario that he found himself in, right? And we're not diving into any
Hmm.
details of any of that. What I specifically want to dive into was because we're talking of the topic, sometimes it doesn't hit somebody until after the fact, whether they were directly involved, indirectly involved, whatever the case might be. And he had said, when he was, I think he was like 16, 17 at the time, something like that. It really didn't hit him because he was a minor when he went to his first court hearing where they said it was the state of California. And I cannot recall his mother's name off the top of my head, but it really hit him in a way that it didn't, the predicament that he found himself in when he showed up to his first hearing. way back when, and it was the state of California versus his mother, because she was the representative of him as the adult because he was a minor, and he's like, man, it hit me in a completely different way in that regard. And then the collateral damage as well that we both had mentioned. I mean, I was 7 years old. I'm not sure. I might have told you this story somewhere along the line, so if I did forget it, but I think it's worth noting for everybody watching. 7 years old. I'm in second grade. It was a Tuesday night. I was going to basketball practice at Golden Hill Church on Golden Hill Street in Bridgeport, Connecticut, my place of origin. And we could not have basketball practice that night because somebody literally had just gotten deleted on the corner
mm,
due to gun violence. And I
mm,
compartmentalized that for a long time. For a long time, like I knew it had happened, but I really started processing it in a way that I hadn't in the past until we started having these regular conversations with respect to put the guns down. Because having all these
mhm,
conversations with individuals who have been victims of gun violence or have had family members that have been victims of gun violence, it starts to bring up those past memories. So the collateral damage, ladies and gentlemen, that we are talking about right now, it is a real thing. And it's so crazy. And I know I haven't really shared this story with many people. So much so did I compartmentalize it that it became kind of like you were talking about earlier as well, right? We get conditioned with certain things that happen in our life, whether they're a one-time experience like mine was at 7 years old, experiencing somebody who had just passed away due to gun violence while I'm trying to go to basketball practice at 7 years old. And I was probably about 35 at the time, and I'm out at a bar in Fort Collins. I was living in Colorado at the time, so I was at a bar in downtown Fort Collins, and I'm sitting at the bar. I was drinking at the time and taking some shots of tequila, and the place got swarmed with about 20 SWAT individuals coming in with their automatic machine guns and whatnot. Everybody's freaking out, not knowing what's going on, and I didn't even know what's going on. All I see is these men in full guard popping with machine guns. I looked around. I'm the only dude standing in the bar while this is going on. Not only am I finishing my shot while this is all going on, I'm actually trying to pay for my drinks while this is going on. And yet the bartender screaming behind the bar, crowds down. And this is sadly just a normal thing to me because that's, where I
mm,
grew up in Port Connecticut. That was
mhm.
kind of the norm. Bridgeport,
Right.
Connecticut, for those who are familiar, very gang heavy presence, mob presence, big with drugs, big with police corruption. It almost sounds like I'm naming any
Mm.
town or city in the United States, honestly.
Yeah, right.
We got to laugh at it a little bit, but looking back at that, man, that to think like that, that's crazy. That I'm sitting there paying for my bar while these dudes with guns are just rolling in, and I don't even know who they're there for, either.
Mm,
It's crazy because we do get conditioned as individuals, a certain way where it just becomes the norm, and unfortunately the norm of how we deal with ourselves as individuals, most importantly, the underlying issue of the mental health that comes with,
mhm,
as you mentioned earlier, seeing somebody like yourself, because you went through the scenario, seeing a Poindexter, passing them up, seeing somebody in a business suit, passing them up to go and then start some ish with somebody that looks damn near identical to them because it's a
mhm,
self reflection, like you said, and we get conditioned to that. And where I'm going with that is, unfortunately, the norm is not that we address mental health with respect to the reflections that we have ourselves that causes some either whether you want to call it the self-hatred aspect of it, or
mhm,
even like me really thinking that 20 dudes rolling in with guns and full garb is like normal, and whatever, I'm not ducking, I'm just sitting here standing because that's what some people
mm.
are going to do in those type of instances if there's a gunfight or something like that as well. So what's your take on the environment that you, because everybody's experience is different, but socially speaking, different environments are similar in nature, right? So what was your experience kind of growing up and looking back now as the adult and the man that you are? How do you feel that discussing mental health, or it being more normalized, how do you feel that that could maybe play a role to individuals that find themselves acting out in a way with violence, gun violence specifically, or honestly, or violence of any kind, how do you feel making mental health being addressed more normalized? How do you feel that could have maybe helped, anybody that you may have crossed paths with in your life growing up or otherwise, that might have a positive impact, as opposed to people acting out in a violent way when they're just not okay, either with themselves or a certain scenario that they might find themselves in, against an opposition really of any kind.
Okay, so myself growing up, you know, I look at my life as anyone else's life when it comes to living in the inner city. We grow up with a sort of trauma, whether it starts in the home or it starts in the street. And there's some type of abuse, there's some type of neglect, there's some type of pain that created who we are,
Hmm.
and that pain we internalize. And as a way to not implode, we exploded on the very communities that we proclaim to love. You can ask every gay member out there, do you love your city? Every last one of them will say, I love my hood, I love my city. And then you will ask them, well, why do you contribute violence upon your own city? No one can answer that. You see, you got to understand that we have been brought up to be conditioned to be domestic violence individuals. It's the same as an individual that beats his spouse. Right after he beats his spouse, he tells her how much he loves her, or she tells him how much she loves him. I'll never do it again. I'm sorry. But then goes right around and does it again and repeats the same apology. It's the same thing that we do to our society. We go out there, we rob people, we shoot people, we sell drugs. The drugs in our community that hurt and damn our community. The same drugs that create a cycle, a generational curse of behavior that leads to more violence, that leads to more criminal thinking, that leads to one's own self destruction. We commit this over and over and over again. And then we profess, we yell out to the world, man, I love my hood. I love where I'm from. I love my city. How?
Yeah, we're killing them off one by
You
one.
abuse it.
That
Real
love.
talk. You're contributing to their death, to your own society's death. You're not healing anything in your community. You're not protecting anything in your community. What you're doing is you're becoming the exact thing that the system itself wanted you to be. It wanted you to be a terror. It wanted you to remain stupid. It wanted you to be violent amongst each other. Think about this. Statistics show that most blacks kill blacks, most whites kill whites, most Mexicans kill Mexicans. The list goes on and on and on. Why do we keep doing this to each other? Yeah, every now and then there's cross relations, but for the most part, the person you got to watch the most is your own kind.
Yep.
That stems from something. That stems from the mental illness that we suffer. We suffer from a plantation psychosis where what's inculcated in our minds is our own self-destruction or mistrust. We don't trust each other. We don't even like each other. We say we love who we are, but we don't. We go
Hmm.
look in our reflection. You go tell a person, what do you see in the mirror? Oh, I see a strong person. Then why you keep behaving like this? Oh, I love myself. Really? Then why did you go down the street and beat up old boy that you could have just had a conversation with and solved the problem, resolved it? Aren't you a person of communication? Don't you have words? Why did you allow your emotions to act without the benefit of your intellect so fast? But if a cop did the same thing, you'll be willing to use your words. If someone of authority did the same thing, you would use your word and make peace. But your own, you are so quick to damn. to crucify.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for this. Because again, we have been systematically brainwashed, and we've been systematically cursed to engage in this as if it's a normalcy.
Yep.
You know, I was just talking to
Mm-hmm.
somebody about the delusion being the reality, and the reality being the delusion.
Yeah.
The reality is this: is that every gang member who's in the gang believes that they are people who love their community, who protect their community. But if an individual who is really a joint that's really out there in the streets, all he's doing is harming his community. There is not one that's really saving their community unless they've grown up and changed their lives, unless they've been through something and changed their lives. I was one of them. I swore to God I love my city. I swore to God I love my hood. But I kept hurting everything around me. And in that moment, I there was no consciousness. You know, you said that the brother, the rapping brother, you know, he was 16. I was 16 when I caught my case. When I was going through the court system, this wasn't something that when they said my case number and all, I wasn't even there. It didn't. It was like a cartoon, like Road Runner and the Coyote. You get an anvil knocked on your head, you get a big knot, and you come back to life, and everything's all good. I didn't take it seriously until I went through something. Once I went through something, I started to realize that my goodness, I gave up my life for this. I've
We call that
sacrificed everything for this.
a
Go ahead.
significant emotional event.
Yes,
Changes
sir.
our life.
Yes, sir.
One.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly what we were talking about doing
Absolutely.
right before you came
Yeah.
on. And those first
Absolutely.
Yeah.
brother
We know
Dooney,
when someone
brother
changed.
Monsta Yo, brother Monsta Yo.
Absolutely.
Man, pleasure to meet you, King.
How
I've
you
been
doing,
waiting to
Dooney?
meet you.
How you doing? Yes, sir.
Man,
Yes, sir.
I'm blessed,
Absolutely.
man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything you're talking about
Appreciate
is
you.
on point, man. It's a sickness, man, and it's been handed down to us, right? Just like it's like
Mhm.
I was just thinking about all of their systems. I'm one of them ones that go back into the prison system. I'm one of the one that's going to the
Mm.
hospital to visit the loved ones that's in the hospital, right? I'm the one that'll go to
Mhm.
that senior citizens place and check on them too, right? And I'm the one that'll go to the
Yes,
hood,
sir.
all hoods, and check on the young ones, right?
Mm.
Those
Absolutely.
institutions, bro. All those institutions have no good for our people, bro. And we're brainwashed into believing that we trust them, that we trust them, right? I talk to Mike and we talk about how we've been so brainwashed, like we're being controlled and don't even know we're being controlled.
Absolutely.
Just think about, just
Absolutely.
think about, just think about the word snitch. As solid as
Mhm.
me and you are, Monsta Yo, we can't put a jacket on nobody. They gonna tell us, go get the paperwork from the police, from the very
Mhm.
people that we don't trust. So we allow
Exactly.
them to dictate who they want to
Mm.
target and have killed in our community, bro.
Teach.
And we the
Teach.
only community that live and die by the word snitch, right?
Mhm.
And when I keep saying it's only the criminal element that really care about that word. Because if I'm not into the
Mm.
criminal mentality, I don't care who. To me, it's not. I don't care about none of that, bro. It's
Right.
not telling if a civilian see what you do and he tell what you do. You're saying
Mhm.
our people are so messed up in the mind that we're saying, hey, I'm committing crimes and everybody protect me from committing crimes against y'all. Right? The very people that we say we don't trust and they showed and it's proven not to trust them, they murdering us every day, bro. And we got to go get the paperwork every hood from the police, bro. Not from the G's that's in the hood that say, let me sit down and say, let me think about this. Let me read this paperwork, bro. Us with an education. We ain't gonna talk about the uneducated. Let's see what this, let's read and understand what this paperwork means. We don't get to make that decision. Our hood is being ran by the police, bro. Every song, everything is being pushed. They pushing that snitch. That shit is from the police, bro. And we brainwashed to believe like it's something good. Where is it good for you to kill somebody because they got weak and you put them in a position, or the police chose to put what they want to in the paperwork? Because we don't get no tapes no more. When you go and get interrogated, there's supposed to be tapes with that, right? You don't take what they type and put down there and write and take it as gospel, bro. We taking what they write on paperwork like they are God, bro. They are. The police are our God in our communities, bro. They run in every community in the United States, bro.
And they're doing
Black community.
It's no different than what
Through
you're
the
talking
word
about.
snitch.
From the coercion standpoint, think about the countless amounts of coerced concessions.
It ain't even coerced, bro. It's not even coerced. It's that they saying whatever they say is their word is God.
Correct. Well, what I'm saying is,
put me in jail. Me and Monsta Yo, all three of us go commit a crime. We go to jail. I'm the one, the actual perpetrator that did the shooting and did everything. They tell me that y'all told on me. First of all, I'm not gonna do no crime with nobody I ain't got no love for. Nobody ain't my brother, nobody ain't my crimey, nobody ain't my road dog, nobody ain't my rip, nobody ain't my, you know what I mean? My nigga, whoever. I ain't gonna do no crime with nobody I don't know. And all of a sudden, when we commit this crime, I commit this crime because y'all just with me. Y'all just with me. Now y'all, right? They're telling me that y'all told, and I'm putting a hit on y'all. All because we met the police department. And I say this, Monsta Yo, think about it, loved one. Who was a buster? I mean, how many was busters that the police put jackets on, bro? Like, for real, from our hoods. Who was really busters, bro? They put hits on soldiers, bro, so the murder can continue. They know if you put that on Monsta Yo, hey, bro, it's gonna be some repercussions. You gonna try to get him. So the murder's gonna continue, and they gonna continue to come in our neighborhood with that bullshit, bro. We just brainwashed, bro, in so many ways, bro. We won't even go buy nothing in our community, Monsta Yo. I did 30 years, bro, and it break my heart that we won't even go buy from our own people, bro. And then if we do, we want them to give us a deal. The Arabs and the Hindus ain't giving us no deals. You giving them your money. Another part of the brainwash, right? We need you out here, bro. What we got to do, man?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. We differ in certain opinions. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I made sure I took everything in as I was listening, and I do agree that the police have always had an influence in how they manipulated the community. And I was one of those youngsters who they used to snatch up and take us out to Compton and put us in Bloodhood and say, oh, he's a Crip, and then take off, and the Bloods is chasing us, trying to kill us and everything else, and we get away or we don't get away. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll put us in a rival and, you know what I'm saying, say he's from such and such. So I know all that type of stuff that I know it does go down. When it comes to street code, there was an honor amongst thieves back in the days. And that's where it stems from, that honor amongst thieves. There was a code, Now civilian, of course, a civilian is supposed to tell. A civilian is supposed to be a civilized citizen. But when you're under an umbrella, you are bound by a code. Now,
yes, sir.
Whether or not a police put a jacket on someone or not, if it doesn't stand true under investigation, then a person is clear. But if it stands true under investigation, that's a problem. Now, if you say, well, how do we know if it's true? That's why you investigate. This is the reason why you have your pieces in places that you need to have them at. At the end of the day, though, I'm going to tell you this. I do get your concept. I definitely do get your concept. I just had to have a rebuttal to what you just said, right? But I do get your concept.
Yeah. We talking about something that don't matter to nobody unless, like I said, bro, like to me, bro, I don't care what
Yeah.
nobody doing. I don't care
Right.
about who's doing what or whatever. I ain't in the know like that unless you out in the community doing something positive. Then you my business. I'm gonna search you down. I'm gonna
Right.
seek you out. You know what I mean? But it's just sad, bro, that we see that that's the only way that we can make it is to prey on our community, bro. Is to prey on each other, bro, and to kill what we won't kill nothing, bro. Look, bro, I'm living on a street that's Oak Park, and right across the street, and it's the same thing in every neighborhood. Right across the street is the white neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You won't even cross the street to go do nothing across the street, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Where the money at? They got the money. We ain't got nothing. We robbing and killing each other where we at, and we already ain't got nothing. It's like, and then a white dude can walk through any neighborhood pretty much and get a pass. Oh, he ain't tripping. Let a brother walk through another neighborhood, he gonna get hit up, jacked up, and everything else, bro. Because I only dislike what looked like me. I was taught to hate me.
We were talking about that right at the top of the conversation. Exactly.
I don't like me. Everything that feeds me about who I am, none of it is good. And I took it in instead of research myself who I am. They're serving us who we are, and we're taking it in, saying yes, we are, and becoming that. What mama say?
Absolutely.
On that note,
don't make them right.
I'm curious what both your thoughts are on this, especially with the experiences that you have and the giving back that you provide to the communities out there, to the both of you. How, God, obviously there's so many layers and answers to this question, but what, if you can wave a magic wand, what do you think is the easiest way to get people to act more through communication, right? As opposed to acting on that violence? What do you think, if we could just like, what's something that we could do? And obviously anything could really be done. If you can think it, it could be done. It might be a challenge to get to do it, but it could do it. But if we could just literally wave a magic wand, Monsta Yo, you were talking about communication earlier as well. What's something that you feel that we could do to get people to communicate more, to, God, man, even in a worst case scenario, at least stop the deleting of each other, to put the guns down. If we got to put the guns down and we got to throw some hands to settle some differences, if communicating isn't going to be the case. But if we could wave a magic wand, what do you think the trick is to getting people to listening, or at least being open to that possibility of communication as opposed to acting with physicality? Monsta, I'll ask you first, and then Dooney, I definitely want your thoughts on that as well.
Okay, so mine is a few things. So I believe that we need to start making self-determination trending. We need to make collective work and responsibility trending, cooperative economics trending, creativity, purpose, faith, which builds the foundation of unity. You know what I'm saying? We need to make that trend. You know what I'm saying? Because for some reason we do not have that spirit of those foundations in our community. I think that we also need to start to remove the chaos agents that are in our neighborhoods. There are individuals that are both young and OGs still promoting the nonsense as a way to keep this sickness going on. When you have somebody in their 40s, 50s, and 60s talking about, yeah, he's an enemy, he's an op, go knock him. What are you, to a kid? What are you doing? Are you grooming this kid to be like you? Isn't that like a form of pedophilia? You're a grown ass man grooming a young kid to go do some violence. I just don't understand that. I believe that a lot of individuals around in our neighborhoods are chaos agents. And we need to start removing those chaos agents and then start putting in more positive individuals who know what they're talking about. I'm not just talking about anybody that's positive. I'm talking about individuals who are upstanding and prestigious, who know what they're doing, who's been there in the trenches, who are well respected. And you know what I'm saying? Have them lead by example. You know what I'm saying? And so by doing that, that is going to change a lot of the behavior in the community. And sure enough, I believe that people will be drawn to that and start imitating that individual. Oh, he got a job. How can I get a job? He's going to put them on. They're going to follow that direction of being put on. And guess what? Money changes things. Having something to do changes things. You know what I'm saying? Being successful changes things. Puts a smile on your face when you're accomplished. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about.
I appreciate that. Dooney, what are your thoughts that you'd like to add to that?
For me, there's a lot of trauma in our community, and it needs to be addressed, bro. That we have a lot of anger, we have a lot of hate, and a lot of, you know, it's misdirected though, right?
Yeah.
We need to start having them conversations what healing looks like, and and understanding that healing take courage. It take nuts to heal, because you got to face your shit. It take balls to face your shit, man. Right? So you can't change it until you face it, right? So we need to have them conversations about owning your shit, man, and becoming better, man. You know what I mean? We need to start having them conversations, bro. Because I mean, we need to get brothers that, and I say this, a lot of people that go to prison, bro, they knew who in the hell they was putting in prison, bro. They don't put anybody in prison, bro. They take people from neighborhoods that got fucking brains, bro, that can think, that will stop all the bullshit. They can see that in the motherfuckers young, bro. That's why they get us at 16, at 15. They like, oh, this motherfucker, they already following him. Yeah, we'll get rid of him. He's not enough chaos. He's stopping chaos. They hear everything, bro. They know who keep the chaos up, and they know who stops it, bro. And most people that got the brain and the heart and the love and the knowledge and the wisdom to stop it is behind them bars, bro, in that modern day slave camp, bro. We need our brothers out here, bro. We need y'all, bro. I've been out here, and it's like it's weird, bro. Integrity is gone. Moral fabric is gone. It's like your word ain't shit. It's like I can just say anything. I just make something up about you, bro. Who does that, bro? It's like, that's weird, bro. You know what I'm saying? They'll just lie right in your face, bro. Like, just slap you and be like, I didn't slap you, and then want to fight you because they really believe that they didn't slap you. They believe in these lies, bro. I swear to God. And it's like, what do you do? Like, we got to get back out here with these puppies, bro. Because I'm gonna say this: they did a study, you know, in the jungles, right? And they had gorilla. They took the apes and the gorillas out of the jungle, and the monkeys ran amok, right? They ran amok. They tore up everything, right? And they brought them gorillas back, and the monkeys got back in place, bro. Right? So we got all these babies out here, bro, with no positive adult male guidance. They're saying they don't want it. We wanted it, but it depends on who gave it to us. Anybody couldn't tell me nothing when I was 16, but I know if you was with the real shit, though, and I know you are, bro, you can tell me whatever you want to, bro. But anybody can't, because I'm a young cat and I'm seeing everything. You can't tell me nothing, bro. You over there on dope. Well, stop that, bro. I seen you get slapped and punked. Stop that. I don't want to hear that, bro. You know what I mean? The kids is watching everything. So they need the solid brothers that to come out, bro, and get out here, bro, and serve the community. Because what I believe, Monsta Yo, is that prison became a monastery for a lot of our brothers, bro. And we went in there and into that place and became awoken. Mentally, spiritually, physically, and got back in touch with God, bro. And got love back in us, bro. We had the time to do that. So everything we touch, we infect with love and peace and you know what I mean? And just humbleness and gratefulness and appreciativeness, bro. And we need all of our monks back out in these communities, bro.
Please do.
I definitely want to add to that because she's absolutely right. You know, for myself, when I actually started to become awoken, is when I started spending my 17 years of solitary confinement. And it seemed like all the earth angels started coming out of the woodworks, giving me all the tools I needed to find myself. I began to read books that I had never read before. I began to read National Geographics and see a world that I had never seen, a lifestyle, tribes, everything, right? And I began to dream. That was the first time I ever started dreaming. Back then, when I was young, all I had was nightmares, cruelty. I didn't care. But for the first time, I started to become illuminated and started to realize that, wait a minute, I'm not an animal. I'm not a monster. I'm a human being. And it's time that I start acting like one. And that change, that moment of truth, mind you, throughout all this process, I'm still going through wars and battles. We battling staff. We're battling other factors that was happening back there. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, I was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, not just for the long-term solitary confinement, but also going through stuff. We really went through wars back there. We really took the beatings and handcuffs repeatedly. That is one of the coldest things ever. Being beaten handcuffs and you can't do nothing about it but accept it.
Come on, bro.
In that moment. Here it is. You used to being a beast. You used to doing your thing. You got squabble. You know you can do, you know what I'm saying? But in that moment, you are humbled because you're reduced to being a victim. Mind you, you've been making everybody else victims. And that moment, you realize what being a victim is all about. You realize that your life can be taken at any moment. And it's a humbling experience. But we still fought through it. We still grit through it. You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely respect what you said. There's a moment of clarity in prison, especially after you go through something. But you have to go through something. If you have it easy your whole time in here, you're not going to learn nothing. You're going to think you're a joint. You're going to think this. But let something really happen to you in here. Where you have to start talking to yourself, saying, am I going to make it? How is this going to end? I don't know how this is going to end. I'm telling you, it's life affirming. It's really life affirming. Too many people in here got it easy. I kid you not. The generations that are coming in here, the coaches that are coming in here, they have it so easy. We took the blunt end of everything so that they could have it easy. The problem is that they're so caught in their sickness. And then, of course, the drug culture has affected our kids, man. It has affected our kids in such a way you can just see it just looking at them. You can feel it. You can smell it. It's like, man, this is sad.
They don't hide it.
This is freaking sad. And this is, and no, they'll definitely hide it. They'll lie with extraordinary conviction, put it on their mama, everything else, blow all that stuff up. You know what I'm saying? And it's messed up, but that's what they do.
I go to them yards, bro, and you don't see nothing working out unless it's gray. You don't see nobody being active unless they're gray. That's what they're trying to pay me to go in there to motivate the youngsters. Them 30s, 20s and 30s, they're in circles getting high, bro. Their whole mission the whole time there is to get high, bro. Get high and lie.
Straight up. Straight up. Straight up. I see it every day.
It's sad, bro.
And it breaks my heart. Sad, bro. It breaks my heart because all I want to do is hug these youngsters and shake them and say, wake up. Wake up.
Come on, man.
Your life is better than this. It's not what you think. This has been a dream. Wake your ass up. But the reality is that they're so caught, they're so lost in that dream that it becomes their own purgatory. And they enjoy the pain. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome. Here it is. They have been abused this whole time that they then begin to relate to their captors. And they start to like what's happening to them. It's a cold mental illness throughout the whole process. Some of these young kids, You have to put your hands on them just for them to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. And it goes back to domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
We talking about
And it's
trauma.
sad.
That exposure, bro. That exposure, that trauma, bro.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
it's plagued our community, bro. Our community need healing, bro. Our community need healing, and
Absolutely.
and the only way that's gonna come, and the way that is coming, is from that inside out here.
Mhm.
No,
The
I think
brothers that's doing the work out here in these communities, a lot of them, 99% of them, came from out of them stoops, man.
Well,
Right.
I think it's important, to two things that you both were just speaking on, as far as with respect to getting out to the youngsters, the teens, the one that still kind of have a chance. And let's not get it twisted. Some of the older individuals, yes, they are still, there's going to be the ones that are still able to be, let's use the word salvaged, if you will, from what they've known for so long, right? The ones, in those circles getting high and thinking that's the only way. We might not be able to save as many as them, right? But I look at, and Dooney, I know that you saw the post that I shared from J.R. Hoodstar here in Kansas City the other day, who on Saturdays, he lives in Kansas City, Kansas, but obviously we're so very close here. He brings a lot of teenagers out and does a workshop. So he'll teach them how to fill out an application, how to put a resume together, where to go look for a job. He'll do other workshops where he brings them out and has them work on cars, just as simple as changing a tire or changing your oil or something like that. So I think we need a lot more of that. I think it's obviously going to be easier because when we look at the individuals that are younger, their mind obviously at that point isn't one as shaped as somebody once they start to get into their early
The
mid.
admin dollar isn't fully grown, isn't fully developed.
Correct. And then, the second part of that is they could be more influenced in general than somebody that's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, so on and so forth. So my thought is, and question that I'm just kind of generally putting out there, because when we talk about certain communities, all right, because I'm talking about communities, communities that are made up of many different socioeconomic backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, where maybe a father might not be present in those communities as they might be in other affluent communities, right? And I don't care, white, Asian, black, Indian, whatever the color might be. When we find ourselves in those type of instances, which is somewhere where we all collectively here on this conversation have very much grown up in that type of environment, or at least community, or known enough about it through other experiences, whether it be our own or through others. How important do you feel it is? Because we talked about this in the past on this conversation, Put the Guns Down, with OG Chili Chill. Shout out to our brother Chili Chill, about accountabilities, or about accountability within the neighborhood, right? How important do you think that just general elders within a community, and I know we'll get Monsta Yo back here. Obviously, as you know, Dooney, the Wi-Fi in there is not as easy for
Right,
us as
right.
out here, but um, the accountability aspect of it, as an elder in your community, and I do want you to speak from your experiences in what I'm about to ask, but I also want you, from your experience, to talk about the accountability that you feel maybe other elders, should maybe be playing a role in these type of communities. How important do you feel it is from an accountability standpoint for elders to be looking out for, using J.R. Hoodstar as an example, right? Just having a workshop every so often where you could bring the young ones in and teach them real life skills, right? What role do you feel that an elder in a community such as that one that we're discussing should be playing in that role, in that community?
Well, bro, if we don't give it to our babies, who gonna give it to them? If we don't teach them who we are from where we came from and what we've been through, what the hell are they gonna go through? What did we live for? We live to make sure they don't have to go through what we went through. So you take us away and then take away the elders that they got sitting in the damn old folks home, bro. They got our our history, our whole everything, bro, locked away in old folks' home, bro. The kids don't got grandma to sit there and lace them, and grandpa or their great uncle, or nobody to sit there and lace them babies, man. It's just their mama, maybe in the streets. They have no guidance. They have no positive black role models to follow. They don't see people in their community getting up, going to work every goddamn morning, bro. They see cats hustling and getting it. So that's what they want.
No, I can appreciate that. Monsta Yo, same thing. What are your thoughts on with respect to the communities that we were talking about before we lost you and then brought you back on? Do we as elders are we accountable for kids that might not be ours, right? But they're in the community, right? Because I'm a firm believer that we were not put here on this world to live alone, right? So what are your thoughts on what role we should or should not be playing, even playing devil's advocate a little bit as well, as the elders within these communities for the young individuals, the young kings and queens out there, you know, kind of as Dooney was alluding to, that might not necessarily have that proper guidance for one reason or another.
Okay, so just so you know, it's breaking up a little bit, but I believe I caught what you said. You know, I agree with the king. You know, the reality is this: is that it's our duty and obligation as elders, and you know, to be the teachers, to be in young kings' lives. There's no excuse. We created them. We created them, and so it's our duty and obligation to help guide them further in their lives once we are awoke. You know, we are the poor righteous teachers. You know what I'm saying? And because we are the poor righteous teachers, we are in the know. And so to be in the know is to be aware, is to have consciousness of. So that means we know what we are doing. And if we know what we are doing, we need to share what we know so that they can know what they're doing. Because right now they do not know. They think they know the fast life, the fast money, the fast everything. They have this herd mentality. They're only hard when they're with the herd. They're only hard when they got a gun. They make it all, we're strategic and everything else until what? They're by themselves.
Mhm.
That's a reality.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, it's time for us to show them the right way. We have to.
Yeah, because yeah, Dooney, to your point, if we don't, who's going to? It's just going to be that cyclical cycle that is the system
Yeah.
plan that is in place. No different than, you know, Dooney when we talked with Dr. CJ Taylor and Coach Ward. Right, like, you know, no different than they were when they were talking about the 60s and 70s. All of a sudden, on these box cars, all of a sudden, all these random guns in boxes started showing up in box cars. You know, getting dropped off right behind Watts High School and other places. I'm sure it wasn't the only place that was happening. So I think it's important to understand as we talk through this that we really no different than Monsta Yo was saying earlier, Dooney, before you came on. If we love our community that much, we love our city that much, we love our hood that much. If you're going to say that, then yeah, you have to like stand on that. And even though you might not have, you know, a youngin that came from your seed, well, if you love your city that much, you love your hood that much, you love your community, well, you know what? It doesn't matter if that seed came from you or not. That is a seed that is growing as a human tree, if you will, in your community that's going to represent that community, that hood, that whatever it is or wherever it is that you're living. So I'm with you guys. Like at the end of the day, as especially as you know, we grow to that elder status and we've seen some shit, we've been through some shit, and we're lucky enough to still be here in the physical to share those experiences that we all collectively have. I'm in agreement with both of you. I think as elders, I feel as elders that we have an obligation to be setting the right tone. You know, no different than I remember just, you know, cruising down the street as a kid, and if I was doing something that I maybe just have not, I should not have been doing. And it could have been something just stupid, nothing really egregious, right? Just something stupid that maybe you shouldn't be doing. You would have somebody, even if you don't know them in that neighborhood, as an elder, that would say, yo, young one, you should not be doing that. And you might not even know that elder, but they were an elder within the community that's helping you determine and discern the difference between what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. I'll even take it a step further than what I asked you guys both a few minutes ago. Do you feel there is an obligation to us as elders to give back in some way, shape, or form? And I'm not even saying that it has to be like an everyday type of basis. If you have the ability and the time and the sustainability in life to be able to do that, hey, blessings to you. But in any aspect that we can give, do you feel that we are obligated as elders to be sharing our experiences with the young ones growing up? So hopefully they don't make some of the same mistakes that maybe we did growing up, that again, that we were lucky enough and blessed enough to at least get on the other side of, if that makes sense. Dooney, I'll let you answer that real quick first, and then Monsta, we're definitely coming to you.
Man, I mean, it's like that's what were we put here for?
Sorry about that.
What were we put here for? I feel in my gut, bro. The reason why Monsta Yo feel what he feels when he sees those youngsters doing what they're doing and they're killing themselves is because it's innate in us to make our people, generation, everything around us better. Certainly everything that looked like us, we need it to be better. It's a moral obligation. It's a spiritual obligation. It's just, I don't know. It's like I said, I don't have any biological children, bro. So everybody kid is mine, bro. And I feel if I don't change things in my community and I die, I feel I failed and I lived for nothing, bro. I feel I have an obligation, bro, to speak to every child. There's not one child I won't speak to. I don't care what the time is, bro, because I don't bring that energy for them to give me anything else, bro. Ain't one I won't speak to. It ain't one I wasn't able to speak to and make get and reason with, bro. I was them. That's the difference. I was them. They need more of us that was really about it, bro. That's not afraid of them kids. These old motherfuckers are afraid of them kids because we know, because we from that generation, we know who really wasn't really. And that's why we know they ain't pushing up on them kids and saying that, because they ain't never pushed up on nobody and saying that in their whole life. No, I'm just saying, it's just real, right? But you gotta have that courage, man, to save the next child, because even though I don't have children, I have nieces and nephews, I have grandchildren, I have kids, and everybody's kids gonna affect my kids and touch my kids in some way, bro. So you gotta help all to help yours, bro. You can't just help yours, bro. Cause they gon' what about the kids they gon' interact with? It's an obligation, bro.
Monsta Yo, do you share the same thoughts that Dooney does there with respect to, as elders, we are. If we love our hood, we love our community, we love our city that much, then we have an obligation to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that the right kind of love is going out into that community. Can you hear us okay?
For some reason, I can't hear.
You can't hear us.
You might have to go back in or go back out and then pop back in. I know sometimes that takes care of the audio.
I just heard you just now. I hear you now. So okay. What was your question?
I'll repeat the question with respect to the obligation that Dooney was speaking about there. For somebody that loves their hood, their city, their community that much, do you feel, taking it one level higher, do you feel that as elders that we actually have an obligation, within our own community, be teaching and sharing our wisdom, knowledge, and experiences with the young ones so they hopefully don't make the same mistakes that us or others have made out there? So instead of just being accountable for our community now, taking it one step further, do you feel there is an obligation to us as elders to play our part within the community to put the right kind of love back into that same community that we do claim to love so much?
I'm sorry, you had broke up so many times while you were saying that, right?
Mhm.
Can you shorten it?
Yeah. Do we have an obligation, just taking it one step further, do we actually have an obligation as elders to give back to the youngins in our community?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I go back to saying that it is our duty and obligation to give back to our community, to these youngsters. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to show them what they don't know. To lead by example. Well, you always have to lead by example because if you don't, they will continue to go down their downward spiral to nothingness, into that abyss. And so it's our duty to save them from their own self destruction. We know what self destruction looks like because we've been there. So it's
Mhm.
our job and obligation to do our best to at least make that attempt. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But at least we make that effort to at least save one. That one is all that matters because it'll add up. One to add to
Mhm.
one more, then one
Mhm.
more, then one
Mhm.
more. Then sure enough, you have a community. Then you have an
Mhm.
army. You know what I'm saying? And we build from there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes,
completely
sir.
agree. One thing I definitely want to make sure that we talk about before we end up ending the conversation, and we got some time if y'all got some time, but this is definitely one thing I want to talk about because we're all artists, we're all musicians. We all know that what comes with the stigma of hip hop, right? Whether it was from the OG back days in the late 80s, early 90s when the industry then really took over. And hip hop really became a lot of what we're discussing today. It became about gun violence. It came about, even like today, if you're catching the case, well, you're about to get rich as a rapper or hip hop, or I'm going to leave it as rapper because there are principles to hip hop. At the end of the day. And I think that there's a strong distinction between a hip hop artist and a rapper, right? But taking in all the violence that we see in music today, specifically hip hop, how do you feel that we can take some steps back? And in some cases, we're seeing it. You got the D1s out there, you got the La Russells, you got some of the OGs coming out now. You got the fuck the streets movement that's kind of going out around social media right now as well. From a psychological and mental standpoint, how much do you both feel that the music has played into the role of our communities that we are talking about? We'll get Monsta Yo's answer when he comes back. But Dooney, how much do you feel that the music does play a role adding to the underlying issue of gun violence and violence in general, which is mental health? But certainly the what's the word that I want to use? The glorifying in music of trapping and gun violence and shooting and killing people. Because if you go out and catch a gun case as a rapper, bro, you're getting yourself a multi-million-dollar deal. Like, whoa, like what are we doing? So yeah, how do you think that the music plays and has played a role up to this point in gun violence and the underlying issues of mental health that comes with it?
I mean, you got to be careful about what you take in, not just music.
Hmm.
Whatever you take in, become your reality, bro. You know what I'm saying? And if they taking in that negative, bro, negative beget negative. Ain't no positive coming out of it, bro. And I know a drill music. I know about drill music. We didn't call it drill music, but it was certain music we put on when we went to go do something, though.
Yep.
So music has a great influence. And then so that is important, of paramount importance that we start talking. I'm talking to my homies. I'm talking to all I can, bro. Like we got to change what we talk about because them kids is listening, bro. Them kids is listening. They acting it out in the streets for real, bro. And they ain't getting back up. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's not the cartoons. This is real life shit, bro.
Once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah, we got to teach them to love each other, man. Love themselves first, bro. Because when you love you, you don't want to hurt nobody, bro. You don't hurt nobody once you learn to love you, bro. We got to get them back and teach them what love is. That shit that they call right now is not love, bro. They'll do their own brother, cousin, best friend, whoever, bro. That ain't no love, bro. Love is a restraint, bro.
Story.
Love is a respect, bro. Love is an honor, bro. There's a lot come with love, bro. And in our community, we lost what love is, bro. Listen, how many rap songs have you heard in the past 20 years that's got love in it, bro? Love or God?
Not very many. And if
Love
anything,
or God?
and it's certainly not mainstream, like everything else is that's getting pushed out here into the world. And it's sad. It's sad. Monsta Yo, what are your thoughts if you can hear us? And again, ladies and gentlemen, please, don't mind our technical difficulties that we're having. Monsta Yo is in a place where the Wi-Fi isn't really as great as mine and Dooney's is, and we will leave it at that. So we appreciate y'all, staying with us, and we appreciate Monsta Yo getting back on when he can, because he might just like that leave again. But these are important conversations that the universe clearly doesn't sometimes even want to be had, because it bucks the
That's
system.
why we gotta have them, bro.
Exactly.
Till the universe get used to it again.
Yes.
They became used to what they're listening to now, bro, because it kept being fed to them.
Yep.
If we keep feeding them what we know that helped him heal and become better, they'll take that on too, bro. They just taking what they got, bro.
True story.
You know what I mean? 90% of the world is followers, bro.
Yep. And if you get enough of those people following something that whoever the powers, I love one of our last conversations that we had at 2025 was with Rachel Renee, and it's her birthday, by the way. So Miss Rachel
Happy
Renee,
birthday, Rachel.
happy born day to you, Rachel. She had said, not the powers that be, but the powers that are, right? If you get enough people that are following the directions of the powers that are, with 95% of the world being followers, well, what's an easier way to do it than through music, right? Which is exactly why I brought it up. So, Monsta Yo, what are your thoughts on the role that music plays, especially when it's glorifying negative things, especially that of violence and gun violence, amongst other things, of course, sex, drugs, whatever the case might be? How do you feel that plays the role, or some of the role anyways, as far as what we're discussing today with respect to gun violence in our communities and that underlying issue of mental health awareness not being properly addressed?
Well, it's all a part of the system. It's all a part of the trap. Here it is. This music in itself is designed to program our kids to be self-destructive. Now all of a sudden they're living in this fantasy of the life is exactly what it is: guns, drugs, and war. You know what I'm saying? Guns, drugs, and flocking, and everything else. And so, with that said, they are being programmed systematically. I've watched a lot of these young kings start hearing a song and go into a trance and start actually believing in the song, reminiscent of the things that they've done, as if this is their life. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem right there. This is a brainwashing technique, a tactic to keep our kids the way that they are. See, there's a system in place. There's a class in place. You don't see the opulent rich kids going through the same thing we're going through. You rarely see the middle class, but it's always the lower class. The lower class are easy to be influenced. That's why they give us the type of um, uh, 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 stimulus that are external stimuli that they give us, because then they can harness how we perceive things. And if you can control how people see things, perceive things, you can control them. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it's all about. It's a brainwashing technique. A lot of the artists today, they're feeding into the system. They don't even know they're part of the system. You know, there's a 5% saying that, you know, um, there is I believe 85% of the world is deaf, dumb, and blind. They have no knowledge of what's going on around them. 10% of the world, they know the truth, but they are manipulators of the truth. So they manipulate the 85%. They keep them in their place. That's the superpower, the things that we see around us and we know it's there, but we can't pinpoint it. But we know there's a power that keeps us in our place. Then it's the 5% who are awake, who are awoke, who are the poor righteous teachers who know the truth, live the truth, expose the truth. You know what I'm saying? So that people can be in the know, so that they can be aware that the trick knowledge is all around them, and all they have to do is open their eyes to see what's before them.
All right, so now what I'm going to
Yes,
do,
sir.
I'm going to combine the last two topics. Go ahead, Dooney. Go, and then I'll ask my thought that I got in my head. Go ahead.
When I talk to my homies Rated, Bonim, and T Nutty, I let them know that they're prophets, bro, and that they have to be careful about their message, bro. That's how important that is, bro.
And I'm so happy that you said that, because I'm combining the last two parts of the discussion that we just had, talking about being accountable or having an obligation, and the music were the last two things that we talked about. Now I'm going to take it one step further. And Ice-T himself came out and said it when he was promoting this film and documentary, Put the Guns Down, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it is available to you currently on Prime, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Google Prime, or excuse me, Google TV, Amazon Prime, and Apple, as well as recently you can go live stream it at no cost on the OG Live network. But again, we're looking to make more of these. Terry C. Carney has a lot more of these planned out. So please go watch it on Prime. But please go watch it on Apple TV. Please go watch it on Google TV. If you don't have the $5, then it's on the OG Live network, because it's a message that needs to be heard and experienced. So now back to the point that I was making. Ice-T himself came out. Ice-T's the OG is OG, especially when it comes to rapping, right? And a lot of people in those late 80s, early 90s, from when we were talking about it from the music aspect, not that they were necessarily glorifying it per se. Some were, and have come out and admitted, that they were. But again, one, they didn't necessarily know any better, and two, that's what the record companies were paying them for. They wanted the violence stories, they wanted the drug stories, they wanted the sex stories, and all the chaos that come with those things and other things. So now, do you feel similar to Ice-T did, where he came out and said in his promo, he's like, I really feel that we do, as the OG rappers out here who were out here talking on this stuff way back in the day, that have essentially programmed the kids since then, the young ones, kings and queens alike, that we do have an obligation. So now, taking it one step further from what we were talking about, do you feel that there's an obligation and share the same thoughts that Ice-T does when he comes out and says to these OG rappers, yo, we caused a lot of this chaos, some of it, not all of it, because there's a lot of other factors that have gone on to it, and we talked about it here in this conversation. But do you feel that these OG rappers have an obligation to come out and start to change the narrative, something that directly or indirectly that they started to help create 30, 40 years ago, and even those that are still doing it today? Monsta Yo, I'm gonna let you speak to that first, and then Dooney, we're gonna come to you.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it short. My percentage is so low. It's low. Yep. It's below 5%. So I'm gonna say this, absolutely. This is the reason why people like Ice-T has come out and started really changing the narrative of conversation. That's the reason why so many people like Cocaine has come out and changed the narrative of conversation, because we're seeing what's happening. We are seeing what we created. And so now, what is it? There's a thing called build and destroy. We know what we build, we know what we destroy. Now we're trying to destroy the old habits and build new habits, new knowledge. You know what I'm saying? A new light within ourselves and within our communities and within these young kings. And the only way to do that is to change the way we put our content out there. This is why you see my content is always on that positive. It's showing progress, because I want other young kings to know that they can do the same thing, whether in my situation, in life, or whatever. And that's what we do. We take the initiative. We are the leaders. So we must lead by example.
I appreciate that. Dooney, I'm going to come to you, but Monsta, since you got less than 5%, We'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled part of your day. But before we do, any final thoughts that you would like to share with anybody listening out there with respect to anything that we talked about this evening? Put the guns down on world epidemic itself. I'm gonna let you have the floor, and then we'll bid you adieu until we talk to you next, which is probably going to be like tomorrow, honestly. And then, Dooney, I'm going to ask you that same question that I just had Monsta Yo answer as well, and then you and I can finish the conversation.
I ain't even got to answer that. He wrapped that up.
Perfect. All right, Monsta Yo, any final thoughts that you want to share with people before you bounce out for the night? And we might have just lost him. He might have just lost. Nope, there he goes. All right, final thoughts. Yeah, I think we lost him, but I think that was a good way to end his part of the conversation. If he comes back, he comes back. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Dooney, with that said, let's just go for just a few more minutes. I ain't gonna hold you that much longer. La Bent did hit me up. Oh, here he goes. I think Monsta Yo came back in. No La Bent tonight. We're gonna get him at another night. But Monsta Yo is back for his final thoughts. And then we're gonna let him go. Final thoughts that you want to share.
I don't know if he heard you. Any final thoughts you want to share?
You got final thoughts for us?
You said, do I have final thoughts?
Yeah, any final thoughts that you want to share before your phone dies out on us?
Absolutely. First off, you all need to watch Put the Guns Down, a world epidemic. You know, this is something that is crucial. It is time for us to save our kids. It is time for us to save the next generation. Because as you see, our current generation is declining. We're killing each other in mass numbers. It is affecting all of our families. And what do we get from this? What, a badge of honor? What, you a joint? For what? Because you're creating or you're continuing the pattern of self-destruction? There needs to be a change. And there needs to be more than just a conversation. We need to be proactive at this change. We need to start fighting for each other. We are human beings. We're not animals. We're not monsters. We are human beings. And we need to start treating each other as such. Otherwise, what is the end game? What is the end game? That's what I got to say.
My brother, I appreciate the time very much, as always.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You and Dooney.
Be linking up again soon. Dooney, I spoke with Monsta Yo before you got on. I let him know that you wanted to talk to him offline
about sir.
We talked about briefly. So I'll let y'all link up accordingly as well. Dooney, don't go anywhere. We're gonna go for a couple more minutes. Just set the tone for 2026 with what we got going on here. But Monsta Yo, my brother, as always, it's a privilege. It's an honor. I always welcome your wisdom and your words and your thoughts. It's all love. It's all respect, bro. Thank you.
2026.
Man, thank you. Yes,
2026.
Yes,
free Monsta Yo, man. Let's make that happen, bro. Enough gods come together.
Yes,
it'll happen, bro. It'll happen, bro.
Amen.
I promise you, it'll happen. You already free.
Amen.
You just got to get your body where your heart and your mind and your spirit is, bro, because that's the separation, bro.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Man, shout out to We Outside Podcast. Everybody support We Outside Podcast because we outside.
We outside. We outside.
Brother, good night. I will be talking to you very, very soon.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Man,
yes,
peace,
sir.
King. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, Dooney, what a way to start off 2026, bro. What a way to start
man. For sure, man. We're gonna line it up, man. We're gonna line it up with some people that's gonna touch some people and touch all segments of people, bro.
Nah, we are.
We're gonna line it up where every segment of people is touched, bro.
We've got Manny coming. We've got Thomas coming. I forgot the other dude that we were talking about earlier. Mario's coming out. That JR Hoodstar. I've already spoken to JR Hoodstar. You know, that dude in Kansas City. He's gonna be a guest at this point. Joey Cool from Strange Music. I talked to him last week. He's gonna come out and have a conversation with us. I started a campaign, and I know we talked about this one. I know at some point we're gonna get our brother X-rated on for a conversation. I started a campaign. I'm gonna start hitting up Tech 9 through stories daily. But the beautiful thing is, people, here's what I want to tell people. It doesn't matter who we bring out onto our platform, because let me remind y'all, if you've been rocking with us from the beginning or if you're just learning about us, we are a platform that is built solely on rawness, authenticity, and real human conversation and interaction. None of what we talk about is ever scripted. The only thing scripted is the guest that we're going to be having these human conversations with. And some of these people, like I mentioned, you might know them because they're a household name in some avenues. Other people, they're not, because they are silent warriors walking the path and fighting the fight that they were put here. But I can promise you this, whether it's a Tech 9, an X-rated, a Joe Schmo, a Nancy Nobody, to you, everybody that we bring onto this platform is
It's
somebody
somebody.
that is doing something special, silent or otherwise. Because where we differ than pretty much 95+% of the podcasts out here is we don't have an agenda other than having human conversations. We don't do this for likes. We don't do this for clicks. We do this for the real human conversation and interaction. And that's what
And
excites me
connection.
to have this conversation. Yes, Julie, yes.
Human
So
connection.
yes, bro. So what do you hope to, because we already talked about things that we're going to be looking to do and things that we're going to be building towards in the future. What are your visions or hopes for 2026 with what we're doing with We Outside Live and partnering with the Put the Guns Down movement as well?
It's to link people from everywhere to different cities and different towns, bro. Right? We leaving it to just that community to change, and that community is not changing on its own. There's nothing wrong with having people come in from other communities, bro, and help that, bro, and inspire that change, bro. So we need to make them connections from other cities and other towns, bro, and take this shit on the road, bro. Change must be global, bro.
Yes.
Right? So we need to make these connections. You know, like we just did Long Beach to Sacramento, all the way to Kansas City, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And we want to need to keep making new connections in every community, people that's from different sectors and different, we just have to, bro. That's what God put us for. That's what He put us here for.
And the beautiful thing is we're doing it through one simple word: communication.
Communication.
Communicate. There's a saying out there, and forgive me if I mess it up, and I might end up paraphrasing it, but it's something along these lines. The furthest distance between two people is a smile.
Yeah.
Like, it's that
Right.
simple, and that's nonverbal communication. So you don't even have to open up your mouth just to make a human connection with somebody, because 55% of the communication process out of 100% is nonverbal communication. So that goes a long way. The way you hold yourself up, the way you look at somebody, the way you don't look at somebody, that's going to make a big difference, which is more than half of the communication process. So I think you hit the nail on the head, and I'm right there with you. I just want to continue to build above and beyond where we can continue to bring together different communities. And that's why when we started originally the We Outside Live cast, we wanted to reach out to people in areas, and that's why we do it virtually. People, some people ask us sometimes, why don't you do it in a studio? We've had those offers, we've had those opportunities, but our platform is about communication, like Dooney was saying and I was saying. It's not about glitz and glamour and
Studio, studio don't studio don't make us real.
no.
Studio don't make us real. We're authentic wherever we come from. And our
Yeah,
people that we bring home may be anywhere that can't be in the studio.
yep,
So it's not about the studio. It's about the conversation, the
it's
authentic
real,
conversation, man, and the
real.
healing conversation, bro. That's what it's about.
No, it's going to be a beautiful year. I'm excited. And again, no different than I told Monsta Yo. I tell you all the time because I mean it. I'm privileged and honored to share this platform and these conversations with you and every
Likewise.
somebody that we bring onto this platform. Because whether you know them or not, they are somebody doing something special. Whether they're a creative, an artist, a visionary, or just a normal human being that's doing something out there positive in their community. That's who we are. We outside, baby. That's what it is. And every Monday night going forward, you can catch these conversations
They don't
live.
see that rain behind me. outside for real.
Yeah, for real, for real. I would be outside right now, but it's a little chilly. It's not as warm out,
It's
here in
cold.
Kansas City as it is in
Woo!
Sacramento.
It's cold, but I'm so used to it, man. You know what I mean? When I'm, especially, you notice a lot of time when I do the podcast, I'm outside, but I get that energy, that energy, burns inside of me, so I'll be kind of warm. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm excited about what's to come, bro, and talking to the people, bro. 2026, we outside,
It's our first full year together as co-hosts. I'm excited
man.
about that,
You know what I'm talking about?
bro. It's gonna
Start
be.
off right, man.
I tell
Yes, sir.
you, when we're having this conversation a year ago from right now, man, things the amount of individuals and communities that we would have touched, um, it's gonna be pretty dope, bro. And that's the thing, right? Like greatness doesn't happen overnight, and we are building something great. We are building a sustainable legacy with this platform, and it's going to continue to grow. The community is going to continue to grow. I know it is because we're doing it for the right reasons, and we're going to be here for a long time, if for nothing else, because of that one thing. Because we're passionate about giving back to our communities, even if it's not a Kansas City community or a Sacramento community. All communities across the entire world, let alone the United States, share in the same thing. We're all humans. We all are affected by the same things, maybe in different circumstances or different manners, but we all share the same emotions as human beings. And the more that we can talk and communicate with each other and cross lines that maybe haven't been crossed in communication with others before, well, that's how you do that, right? And Dooney and I are no stranger to doing that, and we're going to keep on doing that because that's the only agenda that we have here: spreading human stories with human conversations to human people, real human people. You know,
Man, join us on Twitter. Join us on Twitch. I mean, join
everywhere.
us on Facebook. Join us on Instagram. Join us on
Platform.
YouTube. We're on every platform. Check us out, man. Come enjoy the conversation, man. You
Yeah,
know,
my brother.
we take questions
I
too.
appreciate
You
your
know?
time and communication and your insight and your wisdom always, because it's dope when we can have 3 different people, 4 different people. Sometimes we end up having on this conversation where we have different backgrounds or experiences, but they're similar foundationally. And we're foundationally aligned as far as just making the place, this world as better a place as we can. Because no different than
Mhm.
Monsta Yo said earlier, even if it's that one person that we can save, well, you know what? That's one less person going down a path that we probably or they probably ultimately in the end really wouldn't want themselves going
It's
down.
our duty and obligations as human beings to save that one, and then that other one, and then the next one. You know what I mean? And then one after that, right? That's our responsibility as men, as human beings.
Man, indeed. Indeed. Well, my brother, I'm going to let you get back to your night. Tomorrow, before I let you get going though, what you got some time in the morning so we can link up and go over some stuff on the computer that we were talking about earlier?
Hit me up. I'm gonna take my computer to work.
Done. My brother,
Yep.
all love, all respect.
It's
I
love,
appreciate
man.
give my love to sis and everybody that way, and we will get right back at it tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
My brother, be
Peace.
well.
We
Peace.
outside.
Yes, sir.